Hey, Smitty, do we even talk about what we want to name this podcast?
We didn't.
'Cause I was thinking UBrewCast.
You could.
Is that all right?
I'm down with it.
Okay.
We call it UBrewCast, but then I'm going to have to go further with it and have more UBrewcasts.
Well, that's what I'm hoping.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
SmittyDick's presents UBrew Podcast Episode 1. The man with the dreamy eyes, Chuck Green from UBrew in Traverse City. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, doing good. How about you, man?
Good. When we initially started this podcast thing, I was actually in a position where I could promote it more, and I actually had equipment to use. Now I'm at your house using your equipment because I don't have that position anymore.
We are at Fox Valley Brewing, which is
Which is your house.
which I eloquently call my house.
Yeah.
And this is from my former life as a band member of Flawed, which is the name of the band.
Seriously, this is the nicest home studio I've
love
ever
it.
seen in my life.
I love it.
Pool table. Look, Fox Valley Brewing is... We were downstairs. Look, it's bike night at your place. I rolled up, and literally there's 8 Harleys in the driveway.
I know, it's awesome.
And I'm like, what the hell's going on around here? And literally... You had biker friends that just spur of the moment ended up coming up, and we were
He's a friend of mine from high school I haven't seen in 23 years. He called me up.
23 years.
23 years. He Facebooked me and said, hey, I'm going to be in town. I heard you own a brewery or something. I said, well, I have a homebrew supply store. Why don't you come on over? And so I said, they came over. We had a couple beers. I said, you guys need to stay at my house. So they're staying at my house tonight.
Well, we were downstairs. You were upstairs, and we were looking at the taps on your kegerator, and we were trying to figure out. It looks like an FV&B, and we're like trying to. I'm like, well, the B's got to be a brew. And the dude was like, it looks like Van Halen, and I'm like, I don't think it's Van Halen, dude. So it's a brew. Fox Brewing.
Fox Valley Brewing.
Fox Valley Brewing.
Yeah. Why not?
So the whole point of this brewcast, at least episode 1, UBrewCast, is initially you had started helping me on my homebrew journey, and literally, when did we start this thing? When did we start brewing my beer?
It was like a month ago and change, I think.
Yeah.
Probably 6 weeks, maybe?
Probably.
Because a lot's gone down.
Yeah, really. A lot's gone down. And I want to say it was the last week or so of June that we started.
Yep.
And, obviously I'm not the ability to promote it like I was promoting it before. We still wanted to do it because obviously we wanted to see what the hell this beer tasted like.
We have right here represents 6 of Smitty's first beers.
Why?
Ever.
I was here brewing and we posted that time lapse
when we were
video
bottling.
of bottling.
Yep.
Why is that so difficult? It's not. Maybe it was just difficult for me.
It's bottling. It's just not fun. It was kind of fun though.
It was fun. I had a blast.
We were using heritage bottles, and they don't really work well with the bottler, but we got it working. We made it work.
No, we did. I was actually kind of because now I can see the carbonation in these, and I want to say 2 or 3 days ago I was looking at them, and they're in my house right now, and I was looking at them. I'm like, they don't seem carbonated. Is
Did you
this
try
wrong?
one?
Something go wrong?
Did you try one?
No.
Oh.
No, I didn't. I wanted to, but this has been in my fridge since last night, and I took it to work today at Right Brain Brewery in Traverse City and kept it in the break room. So it's been cold since last night. So
I'm surprised they didn't drink it.
I told everybody. I had a note that said, keep your
Do not
fucking
touch.
mitts off
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Stay out of my lunch.
So let's get this out of the way. Do we want to try these or what?
Why don't you describe it first? Tell us what you did to brew it. What ingredients did you use?
Dude, I don't know. You babysat me.
Well, what are your thoughts about your first brewing experience?
There's so much more involved than I thought it was, but I fell in love with it way more than I thought I would too, because I've had friends that homebrew. James Cook from the Record Eagle, member of the Northern Michigan Homebrewers Guild, he homebrews as well, and I've seen him brew. But if you're not doing it and you've never done it, it's like watching dudes do surgery. Like, I get what you're doing, but I don't understand it.
Right.
So actually taking part in that process and having hands-on, you get a completely different feel for it, and you fall in love with it. And I fell in love with it, man. So I was going to bring the recipe to actually, because we had different grains that we steeped and different hops that we added towards the end, dry hopped in that for aroma and such. I can't remember what we did because I didn't bring the recipe.
Yeah, fail. It's all right. I got a little bit of what you did in the recipe. We used 6 pounds of liquid malt extract, of the golden.
Yeah.
And we used 1 pound of dry malt extract, also golden, in it.
And that's the thing. This was an extract beer for me. My first
Mm-hmm.
beer was an extract, and there's a couple different ways to do that. There's the extract brew. There is the brew in a bag, which
There's
you
brew in a
guys
bag,
help
which
out
is
as
an
well.
all grain. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Then there's the all grain brew.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there? Because I feel like I'm missing one.
Well, there's only really 2 major ones. It's the extract and then the all grain. Brew in a bag is just a method of doing all grain brewing. The difference being the extract brew, the company that you purchased the extract from has actually already created the wort, and that
Right.
is they steeped the grains and they've extracted the sugar and then they've boiled it down to be very concentrated syrup, sugar water essentially, sugar syrup. When you do the all grain, you are actually doing that step. So there's an additional step in your next brewing phase,
Right,
essentially.
right.
And so it's going to take another hour or 2 to brew.
I was surprised by how long it took. I'm not going to lie because
Well, it was your first time. You'll get that honed down to
right.
nothing.
And I thought what you had said initially when we first started this thing after the bottling, 2 days. I thought that's what you said. So when I went into bottle, I'm like, I could drink this in 2 days, right? And you're like, dude, no, 10 days. 10 days.
Yeah.
But it's well worth it.
Sure. Because
'Cause
now you got
I got a bunch of beer at my house now ready to go.
Yep.
I brought this in the right brain, and people are like, dude, what'd you bring? I'm like, this is for later. If it's good, I'll bring it in later.
it's gonna be
I'll
good.
bring more in.
Let's give it a try. What do you say?
When do you want to do this?
Yep, let's do
Okay.
it.
All
Open
right.
us a bottle. Pour us out.
Oh my God! Look at
Look
this
at that.
carbonation.
We're gonna get.
Oh, where's your glass at? I'm gonna pour you first.
All right, we're getting that.
Since
You
I'm
getting
an
that?
expert pourer now.
Now remember, since
Dude,
it's bottle,
that looks great.
it's bottle
dude.
conditioned, so don't give me the dregs. You want to leave a little bit in the bottom of the bottle because it's bottle conditioned. All that yeast is going to be down here.
Ah,
And if you look at that, you'll see all the dregs
Yes.
in there.
is that like that for every bottle? Pretty much.
On a bottle conditioned beer, every
Now,
bottle will be
here's
like
the
that.
thing: if I'm at home and I don't give a crap,
Well, drink it,
right?
but it will affect the flavor. You'll
Really,
that little bit is got yeast in it that was used to actually create the carbonation.
that looks beautiful.
This is gorgeous
It
beer.
really
Look at
does.
that.
We tasted it before it was carbonated, and
Look at how red that is. And what'd you call it, Smitty?
Smitty's Virgin Red IPA.
That's a good name.
Well, there was really only one way to one thing to call it. So
Look at that.
dude,
The good head
I'm
retention.
I'm so happy right now. You don't even know.
Don't do the dregs.
No, but
Oh
there's
yeah, you
still
still
a bit
need
in
more.
here.
Well, just sit it down and you'll drink it.
Okay.
All right.
So, what do you think?
All right. Well, we're going to
We're gonna do a cheers.
We're going to do a cheers. Here's to your beer, buddy. And we're going to talk about it in four realms, okay?
Wow.
Right? The first one's going to be smell, odor.
Oh yeah.
The second one's going to be sight. Third
Well,
one,
It looks great.
the third one's going to be taste, and the fourth one's going to be your overall of the beer.
Okay.
And this is kind of how a lot of people will talk about beer. So sight-wise, let's
Well,
talk
it looks
about
great.
it.
And I wonder why, because we decided to do an IPA, and I'm wondering why it was a dark red like this.
We used darker malt, that golden malt that gives it a lot of gold, and then our steeping grains, I believe we did, if I remember correctly, like a Victory or something.
Sure.
I can't remember. I wish you'd have brought the recipe. But it did lend itself to be a very red color, like hugely red,
Yeah, and
which is wonderful.
which is great, and I'm cool with it. There we go. Get
Yeah.
a little more. Get rid of the dregs are in the bottom. Okay.
There you go. So let's smell it.
All right. I smelled it already.
I
It
get
really
I
does.
get a nice caramel
Yeah.
smell, light hop, not hugely.
And we did dry hop it towards the end.
We
for
did dry hop
the
it.
aroma benefit. Okay.
Mhm. I like it. What do you think? What are your
So
your
far,
thoughts?
so good, man.
All right. Sight wise, it's just a beautiful, brilliant
It
red.
really is. I'm gonna get up to the camera.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
It's beautiful. Smitty just had a child.
I really did. No, I did a quick video on the way in and posted on the SmittyDick's page and the Smitty on the radio page, and I said, "Hey, here's my buddies. I got buddies next to me, buddies."
Yeah. All right. Well, let's taste it, dude. We've sighted it. We've smelled it.
All right.
It's time.
Dude, that's good.
That is really good. The caramel character of this beer is just, I mean, it's just forward. It's wonderful.
It's way less hoppy than I thought it was going to be.
Nope, it's not that.
It's just hoppy enough for a good IPA.
That's good. The caramel, it's very caramel forward on this particular beer. And I like it because we used...
That recipe's getting saved because I want to do that again.
You are going to do it again.
So what do we figure? That was about a 5.7 or a 5.8 ABV on that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, you did good, dude. It was a good recipe.
You babysat the whole thing.
Well, you were learning.
I did it, but I did it hands-on, but
Just wait till beer 2.
It was the peeps at UBrew in Traverse City. And I got to tell you, man, you guys, because when I started talking to you guys and I heard, there's a home brewery store opening up at Traverse City, Homebrew Supply Store, you think certain things when you hear certain things, and I just thought you'd go in and buy what you need and get out the door and whatever. No, dude, it's a legit experience. Like, you want to talk beer, you guys are there to talk beer. The fact that you can, just pour a few different grains, because the amount of grains is mind-blowing. Pour a few grains in your hand and smell it and taste it and chew on it a little bit and be like, oh, it's good. That's the chocolate notes. You can taste the oatmeal or whatever, whatever it is. And that's the coolest thing about UBrew is the fact that it's a total hands-on experience. And especially if nobody's brewed beer before, you guys are with them like you were with me, kind of walking them step by step through the process.
Well, we appreciate that. And that's really been the goal of UBrew, is to teach people and go a little bit further than what a normal store would go. It was done to me. Back when Bad Teacher was around, they let me taste the grain, and I was just baffled by the fact that you can actually eat malted barley.
I know it, dude. Before we started making our beer, I had no idea that you could chew on it and
get the flavor. And you can the little nuances of every little grain. You can go and try it, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is like seriously different than the other one. And I'm like, now I can see how I get the flavor out of this. As you get into your all grain experiences, which is what we're going to do next, you will be able to really delve into the differences of the grains you choose, and your palate's now going to be opened wide up, because right now we're limited to 6 extracts, and then steeping grains to add some flavor. But once you get into all grain, there's 25 other facets to the grains you choose.
One thing that you threw at me, and I didn't know that was going to happen, that a lot of my homebrewer friends don't do, is cold crashing. Crashing. I had no idea that was a thing, and I talked to a lot of homebrewers as well, and they said, oh, I don't have a freezer that's big enough, and, which that's fine. They don't have it. They can't do it. And But now I got to get a freezer, because when I do this, why is cold crashing such an important thing? Towards the end of your brewing fermenting cycle, why is cold crashing such an important thing?
Well, what it does is when you cold crash, by cold crash, you're just taking the temperature, which your brew, which is roughly probably at 65 or whatever your room temperature is or fermentation temperature was, and bringing it right to freezing as fast as you can. The yeast and other proteins and sediments that are suspended in the beer will drop out to the bottom, leaving you with an extraordinarily clear beer. I mean, this beer would probably be a little bit more muddy red had we not cold crashed it. Right now, it's just a beautiful, light, hazy red. It's just a gorgeous beer, and if you hold it up to a light, that light comes right through it. It's wonderful. So it's very necessary. Professional brewers always cold crash, obviously. Yeah. And it gets rid of a lot of the...
Cold crashing is you put it in, it's got to go down to like just above freezing.
Actually, right at freezing is what they recommend. Because it's not going to freeze.
Yeah.
And I recommend a cold crash of 2 days at a minimum. You can leave it longer, and it'll just age the beer a little bit better. But after 2 days, everything is usually settled out. With your beer, I didn't do a clarification step, which I do in a lot of beers. If you really want it very clear and you don't filter, then I'll add gelatin, just a little bit of like gelatin that you make Jell-O out of, and that is a charged ion, and it connects to the other charged ions and drops them out and gets it even clearer. I'll show you that stuff in the future.
That's awesome. You are such a nerd about this.
Kind of a
I
nerd.
think it's great. No, it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
But you've only been doing this home brewing and now into the actual business side of it.
That's 3.5 years.
3.5 years you started home brewing.
Yeah.
This is what I have to look forward to.
I know. It's a slippery slope.
How the hell do you go from starting home brewing 3.5 years ago to do you just read everything and
I read every book I possibly could get my hands on.
Yeah.
But I have lots of time to read, so I just read. And I like that. I like the geekery. I like the science-ness of it. I've really gotten involved into the water aspect of it. I enjoy that. I like the chemical analysis and that kind of weird stuff. So it worked well for me. It gave me just another hobby to do.
And that's another cool thing about UBrew. You walk in, and well, Chuck especially. I mean, Aaron is awesome at UBrew as well. But you go in, and you're like, dude, read this book. And there's still books you told me that I haven't picked up yet.
Yeah, I know. You got to get the How to Brew from by Palmer, and I'm getting some of the 4th edition, which is the one that I want you to read.
Why is there? I get 4 editions. Why does there need to be 4 editions?
Well, he just keeps updating it. I think on his new one, he actually added 2 new chapters about cool things. So.
Just different new cool things to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Beer evolves.
That's so true.
Yeah, you can read books that were written in the 1800s about brewing, and a lot of the methodology is going to stay the same, but the reasoning behind it has totally changed.
Here's the thing. I had my first Groot the other day.
Ah, yes.
I had never had a Groot before, and I went to...
No hops?
No hops. I went to Mountain Town Brewing Company in Mount Pleasant.
My uncle calls that the beer club, by the way.
Oh, man, really?
He was probably there.
Maybe. But I had a Groot there. My brother had a peach Groot. What the hell? Like, why? Like, you read all the stuff, man. So
Groot,
no hops.
Yep, Groot was born in Scandinavia.
Yeah,
I believe.
I feel like I want to make it now.
They don't grow hops up there.
Yeah,
and it's an old style beer. I couldn't tell you the exact year that it was started, but it's 300 or 400 years old. They used spices to do the bittering. So basically, you have a nice sweet wort that you're going to ferment, but you need something to add bitterness to counteract the sweetness, and that's what hops does. But it's also what spices do. So they basically put spices in, coriander,
rosemary,
to do the bittering process instead of the hops, and it's wonderful. If you get to a good place like Mountain Town that has great Groot, and they've got a couple of them on tap. When I was there the other day, I think there was 3 different Groots.
Yeah,
and they're great. Yeah,
I like this a lot, man. I can't stop thinking about how good this beer is.
It's so good. I wish everybody, all the listeners, could try it.
Hey,
party at Smitty's house. Let's go.
Well, and party at Smitty's house. And what's funny is, weeks ago when they announced the McGregor and the Mayweather fight, what I wanted to do was have a party at my house, and I was going to brew a stout, like a super heavy stout, and call it the Standing 8 stout for that fight, and have people come over and pitch in $5 and get the fight on pay-per-view. I don't know if it's going to happen now because we haven't had a chance to make that brew.
Right.
But my brother's like, you're going to invite listeners? I'm like, no, I'm not inviting listeners, man. It's not inviting all the listeners to my house. What, are you kidding?
Why not?
But that's going to happen. That stout's going to happen at some point.
Absolutely. And we can do it. We can do it on your next all grain if you'd like. Stouts work really well with our water that we have up here because our water is harder. It's got a lot of bicarbonates. So darker grains provide the acids that counteract the bicarbonates. So your pH will come down in your mash where you want it.
Well, talking about the pH is, I work at Right Brain Brewery now, and when you start at Right Brain, you have to do a brew day, which means you have to do a day in the brewery brewing beer, and I did that a couple days ago.
Nice.
Yeah, and Tom was the brewer that was I was working under, and he checks the pH probably 4 to 5 different times during the duration of the brew.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize, and I didn't realize, that is such a thing where, you know, you got to check your pH. You want your gravity to be at this level. It's 1.25 or da-da-da-da. There's all kinds of math involved. And I could probably deal with one small brew, but the amount of beer that those guys are making, I'm like, how in the hell do you not have alarms, man? Like, I would need to like display alarms where they just go, tin, 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 you know,
pH low.
Secondary edition. It's crazy.
Yeah, you probably
man.
could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make it like Dr. Evil's lair.
If I was brewing, I would.
Well, yeah.
I would. But it's crazy the amount of just thought and preparation and you know, timing and because you really it's got to go to the minute. Secondary brewing is 10 minutes left in the brewing process, the boiling process or whatever.
There is, things that need to be done at certain times, especially when you're getting into delving to deciding what recipe you're making. Are you making an IPA? Are you making a stout? What hops do you want where? It's like baking a cake.
Yeah.
You know, you could just bake a cake with flour, and it's probably going to taste like a flour cake, which wouldn't be that nice. But you can add a bunch of sugar to it or put some frosting on it. It's the same thing. You use your hops.
Mm-hmm.
You use certain kinds of hops that like to go well together. I mean, you're not going to bake a chocolate and pickle cake probably because those two things don't go together. So the hops is the same way. You have some hops work well together. Like the New Zealand's are usually very melony and peachy. They provide those kind of flavors.
Right.
Where there's other hops that are spicy and peppery. So you need to use the hops will springboard off each other if you use them in the right order, and that's why the breweries that put out a beer that's just fantastic. They figured it out. They figured out a combination that works well with the grain, with the hops. They figured it out, and bam, then they have a $1 million beer.
No, and then it's, if you want to expand on that, then it's, testing out small batches at a time.
Yep.
And
they'll do that.
From there.
Breweries like Right Brain, they'll do a pilot batch and make adjustments 10 times before they actually put a beer out.
Yeah.
If they want something that's going to be out on the market. Now, one thing about Right Brain is they do a lot of weird stuff too, where they just say, hey, we're just going to do a big batch of some crazy thing and they'll sell it.
Yeah.
But to get to a production form, it's like anybody who's training. If you're going to compete in something, you train. That's what they're doing at Right Brain by checking the pH all the time, because they know that when they brew Hawk Owl, it needs to do this.
Everything needs to be uniform.
The same, because they sell that beer and
right.
they sell it in cans. They sell it statewide.
You don't want to buy a Hawk Owl that you bought 2 weeks ago that is completely different than when you bought it for a reason again.
Right. So that brew pot process that they have for that beer is written down, and they stick to it unless they want to make a change. But I mean,
why would you?
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's cool.
This is look, man. I'm not gonna lie. This is a fantastic first batch.
Nope. I'm gonna call this a success.
Yeah.
I mean,
really
if you handed this to anybody and say, "Hey, try this beer," they're not gonna even know it was an extract. You did a good job.
Whew. I'll take it, man. I'll take it. I'm really hoping to get that stout going pretty soon. And
me too.
We will chronicle that, and hopefully we will podcast that, videocast that, because this is a pretty damn cool setup you got here.
Thanks. Appreciate that. We can
at Fox
Valley Brewing.
Fox Valley Brewing. I slammed down a Spinal Tapper IPA before I left.
Right
Brain as a shifty.
This is another shifty.
The man with the dreamy eyes, Chuck Green from UBrew in Traverse City. Thanks, dude.
Hey, my pleasure. Smitty, always good to have you in my place.
And I would urge you to, if you have any inkling you want to homebrew, even if you don't want to homebrew and you just want to go in and check it out and smell the greens and taste the grains, then maybe you will want to homebrew. I would suggest going in there and checking it out. And I'll be in there hopefully brewing
please
very,
do.
very
and
soon.
all our guys in there are all home brewers. Ask them any questions, they'll answer. And the thing we do there is we don't sell kits. A lot of places will sell you a kit.
You sell knowledge.
We sell recipes.
And an experience.
There you have it. So that's what we want.
It's also the clubhouse for the Northern Michigan Homebrewers Guild.
It is. which if anybody wants to get involved in a club that has, we're up to 65 members now, I think.
Yeah.
And they're all home brewers in the local area. A lot of them actually as far as Petoskey and Ludington.
Which is pretty awesome, man. It's such a cool movement.
Yeah.
In a way.
It's
And I hate to
great
say
in
movement because it sounds cliche, but it's true. It's
Yeah, the people involved they're extraordinary. So if you get into home brewing, get involved in the club, you can ask the club members anything. They're always willing to help. And then a lot of these guys end up becoming brewers at breweries in the local area. It's just continuous. You know, you get a couple guys and they excel and off they go into a new career. So and then that's happening as we speak.
3.5 years later, you got a store.
And that's what I got.
All right, Chuck Green, UBrew. It's the SmittyDick's UBrewCast, and good one. Thank you.
Smitty,
Till next time.
Till next time.
All right.
We'll show him brewing whatever he chooses in an all-grain fashion.
Yay.
Study up.